Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Got a crazy story out of Texas that Josh sent me a note about. And it's about a judge getting a little out of control. And the judge is reprimanded for her behavior. But many people are going to hear this and go, it wasn't enough. And I agree, it was not enough. But like I said, reprimanded, and we'll see what she did. And so this is from the state of Texas Commission on Judicial Conduct. This is the document that they issued, and it's called a public reprimand involving the Honorable Barbara Stalder, who apparently is in the 280th Family Protective Order Court in Houston, Harris County, Texas. The State Commission on Judicial Conduct met October 22nd and then 26th through 29 and conducted a review of allegations against this judge. After that review, they've now come to a conclusion and they decided that they need to reprimand her for her actions. What did she do? Well, we'll get to that. An attorney complained and alleged that during a hearing on a protective order, the judge threatened to hold him in contempt for not answering questions concerning an exchange that the attorney had with the mother-in-law of his client in the hallway outside the courtroom. So the judge heard that the attorney had used profane language in the hallway. And she called him up the bench and said, "What did you say?" And so at first he refused to tell her. And then finally he answered the question and said, yes, he had done that. The judge ordered the attorney to apologize in open court. The judge then directed the bailiff to take the attorney into custody. He was then physically shackled to the jury box throughout this period and in the presence of observers in a full courtroom as the judge continued to discuss the matters related to the case with the parties. So there's a hearing going on, and one of the attorneys is handcuffed inside the jury box in an attempt to humiliate him. While investigating this complaint, the commission staff discovered another story, strikingly similar. That attorney had apparently been shackled after being ordered by the judge in a similar fashion, sometimes shortly after the incident involving the first attorney. Now, in her written response to the commission, the judge stated that she did instruct her bailiff to escort the attorney to the jury box, but never denied that she asked the bailiff to take the man into custody or that he was in fact shackled at the time. So they asked her, how do you respond to these allegations? And she didn't deny them. And you might say, Steve, why are they splitting hairs in this? Well, because people reading between the lines know what's happening here. They asked her a direct question. She declined to answer it. Probably thinking, well, that's like the Fifth Amendment, right? I can't be forced to testify against myself. But in a proceeding like this, they have the right to say, here are the allegations against you. Do you admit them? Do you deny them? And she sat there, in essence, mute. So the allegations then are deemed admitted because she doesn't deny them. But see, if she denied them, all anybody would have to do is go pull the records and the transcripts in the court and see what the transcripts showed. Transcripts are likely going to show that she did, in fact, order these things to happen because nothing happens in a courtroom with the judge there that isn't being directed by the judge, if the judge is in control of the court. Regarding the incident involving the second attorney, the judge stated that she did instruct her bailiff to escort him to the jury box. And then after she reviewed the reporter's record from that matter, like I said she could, she understood how her reference to setting the matter for contempt and reading the man his rights could reasonably lead a person to believe he was or is about to be in custody. So she says, now looking at it, I understand that someone might consider themselves to be in custody when they've been handcuffed and read their rights. I can see how someone might jump to that conclusion. I can get that. The judge further explained that she was not aware that that man had been handcuffed or otherwise restrained. So she's kind of throwing her bailiff under the bus here. After considering the evidence before it, the commission enters the following findings and conclusions. And the findings of facts actually can often be quite drab. They find it all times relevant here too. The judge was the judge of this court. On February 10th, the first attorney attended a protective order hearing. There was an exchange of words in the hallway. The judge swore everyone in up at the bench and asked what happened in the hallway. And the mother-in-law told her side of it. And then she asked the attorney what his side was. He initially declined the judge's request to respond to the allegations that he had cursed at her, but after the judge threatened to hold him in contempt for not responding, he acknowledged that he had in fact cursed at Hampton out in the hallway. And this is another thing that a lot of people wonder about. What is the jurisdiction of the judge sitting in a courtroom? And quite often you'd think it would be the courtroom. Now, theoretically, the court is in control of the entire building. The court is. But the particular judge, I would say, is not. Meaning that if there's a court administrator or a chief judge who says, here are the rules for this building, those rules will be upheld. And that is legal. However, if some judge says, oh, by the way, I understand you did something out in the hallway, I'm not going to call you to task for that. Well, unless there was some order saying a person couldn't do that out in the hallway, her jurisdiction wouldn't generally extend out there. So the judge proceeded to lecture the attorney about his professionalism and instructed him to apologize, which he refused to do. Now, here's the thing. I don't know what he said. It's not in here. It does not say what he said to the mother-in-law. And the idea that he's going to be lectured about his professionalism, that's okay. I have no problem with that. Because judges and attorneys are held to higher standards. I've talked about this many times. And judges who observe attorneys, it would be something that's not inappropriate to say, by the way, you understand, sir, that there are rules of conduct for attorneys. And cursing at someone in the hallway outside of a courtroom when people are going to look at you and go, hey, that's an attorney. He's causing a ruckus out here using profane language. That doesn't make the profession look very good. Now, I'm not saying it's her job to police all of the attorneys, but I can see where a judge might do that. And I have in my career have judges say things to me or other attorneys, and clearly they're doing it as advice. What about this? Have you thought about that? Just let you know, that kind of thing. So there's nothing wrong with that, but here's the problem. She orders him to apologize. And I've always wondered about this. We've all seen this before. Two little kids, two 4-year-olds are swinging away at each other in a sandbox. Someone comes and breaks them up and goes, okay, you guys apologize to each other. How meaningful is that? And the question is, I understand that a 4-year-old might actually go, oh, okay, that makes sense. When like 16-year-olds apologize. Well, an apology, it matters more how you feel, not what you actually say. We've all seen people say things they do not mean. So ordering this man to apologize, I'm not sure how much that moves the ball down the field, but the judge then instructed her bailiff to escort the man into the jury box. The bailiff did so and shackled him to a chair in the jury box, where he remained shackled for approximately 20 minutes. The judge never held the man in contempt of court or even bothered to institute contempt proceedings of any kind. So she feels that she's allowed to take somebody who's not violent and punish him for refusing to apologize for something he did out in the hallway. Okay. The judge continued to discuss matters related to the case with the parties, while the man, who was an attorney for a party, was shackled in the jury box. Did he get to participate? Could he yell back and forth, excuse me, objection, I'd like to talk, and no, let me. No. She actually took him, shackled him up in the jury box, and then had the case conducted without him there. That is also a violation of judicial ethics. The judge continued to discuss matters related to the protective order with the parties while the man was shackled in the jury box. Then, on another occasion, just 8 days later, another attorney went to the same court to support his client during her protective order hearing. While he was serving as an attorney in another capacity, he was not representing this woman for the purposes of the protective order hearing. So he's there in court on something, but he's actually there for two different matters. After being informed about an exchange between the attorney and a court staffer in the hallway, the judge took the bench and asked the attorney to approach. The judge questioned him about the exchange, specifically about his behavior towards the staffer. Now, here's the thing. Earlier I said the first attorney, had a discussion with the mother-in-law of his client, something like that, and he had used foul language to the point where somebody heard it and reported it. Now, there's an attorney who's alleged to be arguing or doing something with a staff member, a court staff member out in the hallway. There's a slightly different standard there, because if you know the person is a member of court staff, you have to treat them with a dignity that goes with treating people who work for the court, work for the judge. And in many respects, when someone walks up and goes, I'm the clerk for the Honorable so-and-so, you treat them like they're the judge. You don't say Your Honor or anything like that, but you're polite and deferential because that person is a representative of the judge. So you treat them appropriately. So there might be a problem with the guy being rude or whatever he was to the court staffer out in the hallway. But after the attorney told the judge that the court staffer had been disrespectful towards him, the judge proceeded to lecture him about his behavior. The judge then read him his rights and had her bailiff escort him to the jury box, where the bailiff shackled him to a chair. So she read him his rights. Most people recognize, including an attorney would know this, that you get read your rights as you're being arrested. That's part of the arrest. So after he was shackled in the jury box, the judge stated to him he would sit there and that she would address a contempt hearing on the matter after the remainder of the morning docket. So she had him sit there until they took a break for lunch. She never instituted contempt proceedings of any kind. She also never found him in contempt. While shackled in the jury box, the attorney called his son, who was also an attorney, and said, can you please come to court and get me? I need help. When the son arrived, he went to talk to his father, but was confronted by the bailiff who told him, you can't talk to the prisoner. Didn't use the word prisoner, but you cannot talk to your father. The judge then released the attorney. While leaving the courtroom, the son had another exchange with the bailiff, and the judge called him back to the bench and told him to never step foot in her courtroom again. I was like, never set foot, but she said, never step foot in my courtroom again. That, of course, is another major problem. If the man's an attorney, he has every right to step foot in her courtroom, especially if he's there on official business. So the next day, the judge did call the attorney in the second case and apologized to him for the situation that occurred in the courtroom and invited him and his son to her chambers to discuss it. So they went. During the discussion with the attorney and his son, the judge apologized again for the situation that occurred in the courtroom. But here's the thing. The man sat for half a day handcuffed in a jury box while other people are conducting business in the courtroom. People walk in and go, oh, there's a prisoner in the box. Wait, hey, that's the attorney. Yeah, that's humiliating. So there are 3 different rules that were violated here regarding the Texas Code of Judicial Conduct, which states in relevant part, a judge shall be patient, dignified, and courteous to litigants, jurors, witnesses, lawyers, and others who they deal with in official capacity. Another section of the code says a judge shall accord to every person who has a legal interest in proceeding, or that person's lawyer, the right to be heard according to law. So when the guy's locked up in the jury box, he's not participating the way he's supposed to be. And another one that says a judge shall not engage in willful or persistent conduct that is clearly inconsistent with the proper performance of his or her duties or cast public discredit upon the judiciary. So as a result of all of this, the Texas State Commission on Judicial Conduct has determined that she should be publicly reprimanded for several different things. And so it becomes a public reprimand. And that's it. And it says at the end, the commission has taken this action pursuant to the authority conferred in Article 5, Section 1 of the Texas Constitution, in a continuing effort to protect the public and promote public confidence in the judicial system. And it's signed by the chair of the State Commission on Judicial Conduct. And I don't think that goes far enough. It's unfortunate they didn't go farther. But in a nutshell, at least twice that we know of, when an attorney was in her courtroom and she thought they'd done something out in the hallway, she called them up to the bench, confronted them, and had them handcuffed and stuck in the jury box for a while, and then later didn't bother doing anything with respect to, like, say, contempt proceedings. And by the way, if you're going to hold somebody in contempt and they're not being violent, you don't need to handcuff them. Why would you? An attorney is standing there talking to you. You could say, sir, have a seat in the jury box, we'll get to you in a second. Or you could say, have a seat in the courtroom, we'll get to you in a second. Or you could say, hey, go back in the hallway and sit in the jury room. Handcuffing them? So that's crazy. So I think that this does not go far enough. I would have liked to see a suspension in there. But maybe there are worse judges down there in Texas who make this look like it's not that bad. And that's really all I can think of. That's all I can think of. So I have known of judges who got in more trouble for doing less. Let's put it that way. So it's a crazy story regarding the Honorable Barbara Stalder, the 280th Family Protective Order Court in Houston. That's Texas, my friends. Josh sent it to me. Thanks a lot. And I got to tell you something. I feel bad. I got this really cool shirt right here in the mail, right there. Lehto Slaw. Finnish style, Michigan's finest. And unfortunately, it's the wrong size. And I've mentioned this quite a few times. I wear a double XL. I'm a big guy. I know it doesn't look like it on camera. Camera not only adds weight, it makes you smaller. Look how small I am on your screen, okay? I'm 6'2", and so I tend to wear double XL shirts. And people have asked me that. I've mentioned it in videos. I apologize. But when I get shirts of the wrong size, I can't wear them on camera. And so I feel really bad because this is a really cool shirt. Look at that. Look at that. A lot of work, effort, thought went into this. I greatly appreciate it. I'll hang on to it. Maybe if I lose some weight, I can wear it. But as of right now, unfortunately, I can't wear it during a video, so I apologize. But again, if you're inclined to send me a shirt, I've mentioned before, I love places. I love good senses of humor. I love schools, things of that nature. But I wear a double X. So there you go. Questions or comments below. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. I don't know why people are so keen to put the details of their private life in public. They forget that invisibility is a superpower.